Yeah, it does seem like it's kind of working, doesn't it? Hello, Leif. Yeah, I don't know how well it's working, but it seems like it's okay. Better than it was last time, anyway. Stats for Nerd says 11 seconds of latency. Oh, that's not true. It's lying to me. Okay, 17 seconds of latency, but that's not too terrible. So this is the Boston skyline. You can see a rower out in the water there. And if you look over in this direction, there's actually, you can probably see Fenway Park at some point. To the right of us is BU. Fenway's going to be way up there. You're not going to be able to see that. Never mind. Hello, Jose. So yeah, the big things you can see as we go this way more. Oh, I should probably actually focus. I just realized I was totally out of focus. I couldn't tell because I was watching my 144p video, and that's not quite what you're looking for. But yeah, so you've got Boston over there, and I can look kind of down at myself, which is right there. Hello, me. I'm down sitting on the ground. What's that green thing? So there's a big green field. I'm not sure what green thing we're talking about. Oh, the sign there? I don't know what that is. Looks like some kind of, that's probably some kind of construction or something like that. Hello! Yeah, that looks like some kind of, like, either a building or construction or something like that. A little bit scared if I... Oh, it looks like this. It looks like it's just a green building. Might just be the outside of it, because it looks like it's still under construction, but... Yeah, it records the sound from the iPad. So I don't know how well you can see that, because I'm watching in super low resolution, but it looks like that's some kind of building over there. I drive by it all the time, and I don't remember it being green the last time I saw it, so I assume that the fact that it's green is because it's under construction of some kind. This is probably the farthest I've ever flown the drone away, so it's currently 400 meters away. And that gets to be a little bit scary because I just worry about it having problems if it needs to come back. You can go up a little bit more. So you can see the Citgo sign kind of in the middle here. The Citgo sign is kind of a classic Boston landmark. And then that's the BU Bridge and the railroad bridge there that goes underneath it. There tends to be a lot of graffiti on that railroad bridge. So there's that. Oh, my stream health is bad. Well, hopefully it's not too terrible. Yeah. I seem to still be playing okay, so... Anyway, I don't know if you guys can still see or hear anything. So I got 22 minutes left of battery. I'm not actually over the road, which it feels like I am, but if I look down, you can see that I'm just over the water. Oh, that's a bit blurry. I worry when my controller starts to like the video it receives ends up getting blurry. Like that's probably a bad sign for reception. So about 450 meters away, with trees and other stuff like that in between me. Like if you look back this way, on the other side of this soccer field, this is the Hawk versus Drone soccer field. So where like I'm flying at right now is higher than where the drone would have been attacked by the Hawk. And I'm 450 meters away on the other side of those trees. So that gives you kind of a sense of how far I can go, even in a radio-dense area in Cambridge, and still be able to get reception here. I'm not sure. I might be like covering the mic. I'm using the iPad for my broadcast, and so I don't know like what would cause the sound to cut in and out, but yeah. So you can see the tree I'm passing over now, and people I'm kind of that are biking underneath me. This is the swimming pool, which is empty, as someone pointed out. If we look over in this direction, we can actually see the Trader Joe's. So now I'm close to myself again. I'm only 70 meters away. I'm way up in the air, but I don't have as much concern with radio or anything else like that. Yeah. So I don't know what makes the sound good or bad. But yeah, so this is Mem Drive, which is kind of the big road along the outside of Cambridge. As we look this way, this is kind of Magazine Street, which will lead up into Central Square. So if we go up a little bit here, this is kind of the way that Central Square is. Oops. Go up here. We also have this kind of shell sign. Oh, we can't see it from here. I'll move a little bit. No, setup is easy. I just put in a custom RTMP URL. It is easier, frankly, for me to just type in an RTMP URL than it was for me to figure out. Oh, hold on. I want to actually record this. Than it is for me to hey Chip, how's it going? Yeah, you know where I'm at. So Micro Center is, of course, there's not a whole lot of those around the country, but there's like 5 or 6 of them. So there's the shell sign I was talking about that you can see. And I'm currently at 74 meters, so like 250 feet up. I can't hear the drone at all, so presumably most other people can't either. Currently moving at 27 kilometers per hour, 30, 32. This is the drone software. Yeah, it's the DJI Vision Go Plus or something like that. DJI Go 4, I think it's called. So yeah, the swimming pool is nice because, you know, it's a nice spot that there's no one going to be at it because it's under construction right now, I guess. It's certainly empty. And so I can kind of fly here. And I've actually got a little map on my software that tells me where the drone is relative to me. So I can kind of look around here and see the person walking with a dog behind me because I'm sitting at this table. So if we come down further, we'll look down just so we can see what we're coming down into. At 90 feet, a little bit lower, we can kind of look this way. We're still kind of even with the trees now, I think. Yeah. So we're good here. We can kind of come forward. And yeah, so that's me. You can see here I've got my laptop sitting in front of me. Oh, now I can hear the drone. So the drone is 20 meters away and 12 meters up, and that's about where I can hear it. Hello, drone. I'm covering the mic again. Okay. Or the mic just doesn't work. I don't think I'm actually covering anything. Like, I'm holding this pretty loose, so. Anyway, so there's me. And we can go out. We've got about 17 minutes of battery left, according to this, so we can go out again. So this is a spot that I don't like. I feel a little bit uncomfortable flying because there's a lot of helicopters that kind of cover this area, and so I get a little bit nervous. But so we can see over here is a pretty tall building, and as I said, behind that is the BU Sports Arena. So that's like downtown Brighton, Alston-ish, and I'm still over the river here. But yeah, so that's Boston University's arena, sports arena, and yeah, south part of Boston, and that's of course downtown Boston in the distance. You can also see the clouds are kind of cool, especially if we look. I think we can look the other way. So that's downtown Boston. You can see the Prudential Center's in the middle there, the John Hancock Building, etc., etc. And we can go ahead and whip it around here. So these clouds back here are pretty cool looking. You know, it's clearly like a storm front coming through this part of town. As you look to the far side there, like you can see, we probably can't see it, but there's like a steeple way in the background. That steeple way in the background is part of Harvard. This is the Cambridge Community Boathouse. So this is where my coworker who rows from. And you can actually see, oh, is that somebody rowing? No, that's just a dock. So there's almost always crew teams who are out here practicing at this time of day and doing different stuff like that. So yeah, I just heard a big boom. I'm like, oh god, my drone's gonna crash, which is a silly reaction, but I react that way to all. Like, this is still very weird to me, like to just. Yeah, that white thing that might be a steeple is a steeple. Like, I'm still not used to this drone. Oh yeah, so over in the other direction, if we fly that way, we'll go this way. I like, when I push forward on the sticks, it's like, oh yeah, your battery life is going down quickly. Now, is it this intersection or the next one? Yeah, it's this intersection. Oh, you can see a boat coming up the middle. Well, you probably can't see it, but there's a boat coming up the middle, which is one of the Charles River riverboats. We got a rower down here. Looks like a single rower coming up the river. But yeah, so that's one of the Charles River riverboats. Now, this road here, this intersection to the left is a giant mess. And so, are we good? We're good. Okay. Let's see. I can't even see my drone without help at the moment. I don't even know where I am. Okay, so I'm like way out there. Yeah, I don't even think that I have visibility on the drone at this point. Technically. Yeah, there's some pixels out there. So that boat will actually come all the way up. So if I'm not going to fly over the road, because that kind of is a bad idea. But as you can, there's like these two bridges here, and now the boat is crossing through the second bridge in the distance there. But yeah, so this intersection right on the other side of the Doubletree Suites is very much, so the Doubletree Suites is probably like blocking why I can see my drone. Like if I look back here, yeah, I should have line of sight pretty direct from this angle. Oh, there's another boat. So this is the same kind of boat, so we can fly and look at this one. Well, we'll turn it around first. Yeah, so we got the boat coming up the river. And if we turn and go the other way, we got this boat coming the other way up the river. So these are, oh yeah, that boat's right in front of me at the moment. Alright, so can I see my drone now? I think I should be able to, but I still can't. So yes, even knowing where my drone is by looking at the screen, I can't actually see it. Doing these tilts. Yeah, there's always rowers out here. So the community boathouse that's right there is a big practice facility. And the Charles River is like home of a famous race called the Head of the Charles. Like crew is big around here, so there's always rowers out. There's also kayakers and stuff like that, like on the weekend, but the rowers are, for some of the, you'll see bigger teams sometimes, that are like 4 or 8 person teams with a launch and everything else like that as well. And those tend to be a little bit, those are the school teams usually. But like rowing is a big thing, and so you'll have a lot of people out practicing. So the boathouse just right here is a storage. There's just like that entire building inside is just a ton of different cruise shells. Yeah, so there's that. So there's me again. Hello, me. My drone's kind of rotating a bit. Stop doing that. So this building behind me is the Magazine Street Magazine. They're currently working on refurbing this. This used to be like a snack bar, and like this whole thing used to be a beach that people would like come and like hang out at, like a waterfront back in the 1930s and earlier. But the river became kind of polluted and toxic, and so a lot less people used it for that. And this building here used to be like a snack bar or something like that, and it eventually. Kind of, oh yeah, okay, so my drone is tiny, the tiny dot up in the sky at this point. If I didn't know that it was at the like 150 foot mark, I might say that it is a lot lower than that. So yeah. Flying over private property is not a thing that's a problem, but you will have problems with like the air is owned by everybody. It is regulated by the FAA and it is owned by everybody, and so there is no legal problem with flying over private property. Now, the difference between a legal problem and like an actual problem is of course significant. If you're flying over someone's house rudely, that's a problem. And you certainly could be close enough at some point to be considered trespassing. So there's a ruling in 1947, Cosby versus United States, that said that, you no longer own from the earth up to the heavens, that didn't make sense anymore. So there's Micro Center. And that's the ruling that kind of has formed the basis of most things. The FAA regulates based in part on that Supreme Court ruling. And so there's really no reason you can't fly over private property. Now, what you're not supposed to do according to the AMA's safety code, or, the FAA or other things like that, is fly over like vehicles or uninvolved persons or other things like that. So your goal is to fly safe. And so that's why I tend to fly in these kind of big open spaces and not just over buildings and other things like that. Yeah, so Micro Center is a big, I bought all my computer parts at Micro Center, right? Like I wanted to build a PC, so I just like built a cart at Micro Center and I went and picked it up. And if we look kind of this way, if you were to look about 3 blocks behind the Trader Joe's, like right now, no, a little bit more over, actually probably behind that Courtyard by Marriott, is kind of where my house would be. So over to the left a little bit more is an area that I would fly like past that grayish building, which is public housing. And there's a park on the other side of there where I fly pretty often. There's a park in the middle of downtown Cambridge, probably right in about the middle of my screen now, where I would fly. But yeah, so my goal is to not fly over roads, and to not fly over crowds of people. So being over the water is good for that. And, yeah. Hello, Cracked Mirror and a Shallot. How's it going? Yeah. So like I said, this green soccer field over here, that's where I was flying when the hawk attacked me. So, that's the soccer field that the drone falls onto. And you can kind of see the baseball field and everything else like that. You can see the BU Bridge in the distance. It's getting a little bit grainy here. I don't know why it's so grainy. Now there's a bird. Can I track the bird? Oh, there's our boat. So this is the boat that before was coming underneath that bridge, as they finally made their way all the way over here. So those boats go pretty slow, but they're kind of cool tours. Yeah, I don't recognize the name, so I presume I know you from something else. I'm disappointed. Barb told me if I ever took a live stream from my drone, she would super chat me, and here I am with no super chat. I've only got about 6.5 minutes of battery life left, so. Oh, it's Aw, you're in Texas now, or I know you moved. I lose track of all these people who move everywhere else because, you know, living in Boston's too goddamn expensive. So this is the point of my battery life where I don't fly very far. I just kind of hover nearby where I am. I'm hovering currently, and my rotors are spinning at 5,500 RPM. I've got, yeah, so this is the low battery warning, which unfortunately is very annoying, and I cannot shut up. So we're going to come in now and land. So when I go straight down, the quad drops at about 7 miles per hour, ish. I said Barb, you're not Barb Jose. Barb said she would super chat me. Yeah, so in about another minute, it would do an auto return to home and fly back to where it took off from if I didn't cancel it. Which would be kind of bad if it was like under some trees or something. A nice thing is that it will do kind of a gentle landing. So I just press the down arrow and it's like stops there and then lands. And if there's anything that would get in trouble with it or whatever else like that, so. Oh, no, I was saying that Barb said she would come and super chat me and she didn't. So I can flip this. Yeah, so there's me. Hello. And that is 25-minute live stream of flying my drone around. So, the key thing is that it's gentle compared to doing it yourself. So it comes and it hovers at 2 feet, and then it like lowers itself slowly, no matter how fast you're pushing down on the stick, and lands at an appropriate speed for it. It will do a little bit of a bounce, so it's a little bit of a like it's off-centered. It's got longer legs in the front than it does in the back, and so with longer legs in the front than in the back, it does kind of a little bounce at the end as it finishes up. So. Anyway, so it seems like that worked, right? Like, I feel like there's a little bit of buffering. You guys had some, you know, anything else like that. Well, so Matus, the only thing is that, like, you only, with how I have it configured right now, you only get about, like, 2 minutes before it's going to automatically fly back home. And that's the kind of thing that you really want to try to avoid. So you can adjust all those thresholds. There's maybe a button to say like, shut up the battery warning. But I'm pretty okay with it being very aggressive about like, by the way, I'm going to land whether you want me to or not. That seems like a reasonable trade-off to me. So, but yeah, it is super annoying. And especially because in this case, you are right next to it because it comes from the controller. That ends up being a little bit more annoying for you even. So yeah. Uh-oh. I think I lost I'm offline. But yeah, all right. I think we're back. I think maybe, probably like super delayed. So yeah, so the what I have here, right, is Wow, that sucks. Okay, so objects that contribute to this stream. We have my cell phone. My cell phone is acting as a Wi-Fi hotspot, so I have that broadcasting. It's on the ground, Goofy. So my phone is a Wi-Fi hotspot. I've got the iPad hooked up to the controller. And so like that's you know, you've got the controller here, the iPad's plugged into that, and trying to figure out where the hell it is. But rather, the DJI software has live streaming stuff built into it, so that's what that's using. And my phone internet is bad again, I guess. Oh man, there's some like rowers going by out there that are like 4 and 8 man groups. Woo, 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 woo. So I wonder if the audio issues are in part that it's like trying to cut out the wind. Anyway, yeah, I think rip stream. I mean, also my like FPS seems to be really low, but I assume that if I like stopped and started the stream, like this is mostly just it being right on the edge of functional. It might also be that the reception of the iPad sitting on the table is bad for some reason. Nah, I think this is just bad. Okay, I'll swap batteries and do another stream. I don't know if I'll be back on this video ID, so check my channel in a second for more live, or if people seem like they're live and you're not, you know, check something. So, yeah, all right. This is done. All right, I'm gonna turn you off. I don't know if I'm gonna stop the broadcast. I sort of assume so. It might actually keep broadcasting. I don't know. No, it can't. There's no camera. Well, it's got my voice, I guess. The stream is continuing, it says. All right. Okay, so I don't know if I am... All right, so now I think that you can see things again. All right, I appear to have decent frame rate. My video quality here is pretty shitty, but that's in part my... That's not related to the stream, that's just this controller. So let's take off. So there is actually a button for takeoff, so I can just push the button, slide, and it goes up and hovers, which is pretty cool. All right, there we go. So now we're out of the grass, we got a little bit of reception on the remote, and we've got a full battery. All right, so if I start here, I'm gonna look over this way, because this is where Boston is. I'm gonna go back a little bit just because I don't like being super close to trees. And then I'm gonna go up. So my vertical climb at the moment is about 4 meters per second. And yeah. So over here, like I said, we're back to the Citgo sign, the city of the skyline of Boston. Yes, that's right. Your credit card company is gonna love you, Jose. Hey, my stream health is even green. It's almost like things are working. Yeah, so a lot of the pixelation you're getting at the moment, one of the problems with this software is it doesn't do any down-resing of the video feed. So anything that you're seeing that looks like the video feed is being down-resed is the result of, okay. I was like, oh my god, I'm directly over trees, and then I realized I'm still at an angle in my gimbal, so, yeah, so I can go, I think the highest I've gone is about 100 meters, so this is about as high as I've gone. And that is definitely in the range where in Boston you can run into helicopters. So I have seen helicopters here, and it's hard to tell how tall something is, but it is well within the range that I've seen things. You know, some of these buildings that are near here that are only like 160 feet high, I have seen helicopters fly around them, and I'm like, that seems wrong. That seems like a bad thing, but... Well, that's because most people aren't subscribed to this account, right? So you're all surprised. You follow from Twitter. You're not ready for a stream. This is what you get. It's not. I don't know that it's the mic. I think it might be the software. So I'll have to experiment more with it and see if I can figure out what's up with that. I don't know if it's like choosing to go in and out or anything else like that. Like I don't think that it is, because it, like, I have a little micometer which shows how loud I am, and it's pretty much always showing something, so I'm kind of wondering if what it's doing is trying to do noise reduction of some kind. I don't know. Oh, I was like, that's weird, my drone is 100 meters up and I can hear it. That's not what I expect, but then I realized that the boat is actually making a very similar sound to what my drone makes from a little bit farther away. Do you think I'm really just accidentally covering? I don't even know where the mic is on the iPad. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm not. I don't know. Like, at the bottom of the iPad, there's like two little... Like, where is the... Oh, is this the mic? Is this, like, now you can't hear me? And now you can? And now you can't hear me? Okay, I've been avoiding the wrong thing. Okay, so now at least I know where the mic is. And apparently the mic on the iPad is really easy to cover, which I would not have expected. Okay, I found the mic. Now I can probably avoid muting myself constantly. Yeah, so there's no baseball game going on at the moment, so I can fly over the field without worrying about hitting anybody. Currently I'm about 130 feet away, 100 meters up. I'm going to come down a little bit lower because I don't need to be so high. So I'm currently going at 33 kilometers per hour for you Canadians. I should hit everyone. I should not hit everyone. I don't know what this is. It's probably some kind of like water treatment plant, and I'm going to get arrested by the cops for flying over it because they think I'm spying and going to blow it up or something. I don't know. This is actually where I did the demo for the news reporters who interviewed me about Hawk versus Drone. As I actually, in this little parking lot here, met the New England cable news reporters and did a little bit of a demo of the thing for them. So, I mean, the reality is that the props on this are foldable, and so if you hit something, they're probably going to fold. You're definitely going to ding people up, but it's not going to be a scene of bloodshed. We're talking more Band-Aids than stitches. So yeah, so here's one of those 4-person crew shells that's hanging out here. Hold on, I'm going to look down and make sure I'm not... Okay, yeah, so I'm over a good spot here. So yeah, they're out there now. They're not going super fast because they're just on their way back. So they're clearly going into the wind for practice today, and so this is just their trip back from their practice run. So I have actually flown pretty close to rowers. I've actually, when I first started flying, it was the case that the rowers would be out and they would, because my old drone had like really bright lights on the bottom, and I would fly at like this time of night and it's very visible. So like a couple of them that practice at the same time every night just got to know me by name, and so whenever they saw me flying, they'd be like, "Oh, hi, Chris," which is kind of cool. But yeah, right now I'm 140 feet up from them. So even if I flew directly over them, they probably wouldn't hear me. I'd have to fly, I think, much lower. So they might be able to hear it if they were listening closely, but they're out on the water, so my guess is that even that wouldn't be the case. You missed that river. Now, did you live in Cambridge, Barb? Did I know that? I feel like I did know that now that you mention it. I had just totally forgotten. So you got a kid over here playing soccer. Oh, a couple kids playing soccer. And so this is where I've been doing a lot of my practice flying, just because it's a big open space. I got the river. Okay. Oh, that's right. What's his name? Yonet, no, something. Someone with the Y in their name is like, oh, I miss Barb. When you were on stage at I.O., he was like, oh, I remember when Barb used to be my PM, and I miss it. But yes, so this has basically been my home base for flying my drone since I started getting drones. There's one park that's further up that I flew in a little bit, and steal their ball. I'm not gonna steal their ball. But yeah, so here's me. We can fly over here and see, that's my setup here with the laptop and everything else like that. So one of the nice things about switching to the iPad is actually that the Nexus 5X just sucks at like doing anything with video and not overheating. So I literally like would not be able to interact with the UI after flying for 20 minutes. And like that's a pretty scary thing when this UI is part of your, overall interaction with the device, right? So this has a return to home button and it has all this other stuff. So drink and drone. I think that that's a bad plan. I don't agree with that plan. I love, just for the record, so I am currently not touching the drone at all, and it's just sitting here and chilling out. It's like a 5-mile-per-hour wind, and like bouncing all over the fucking place probably, but like it just sits here and looks beautiful. Like, I love that. Am I over cars? Probably. No, I'm over the water. I'm good. Oh, right, I even have a little map here. It's got, like, built-in Google Maps in the corner. Actually, they're Here Maps. I used to work for Here Maps. Yeah, so the only problem with the video being so crisp is that, like, the video, for the record, when a video gets blurry, that's what I'm seeing on my local screen as well. Like, that's a side effect of the antennas and radios in this. Oops, I just covered the mic again. So it's a side effect of the antennas in the drone rather than anything else. So yeah, is there anything else cool? We kind of flew over earlier. First thing I did was to kind of fly towards that green thing. I got 13 minutes of battery at the moment. Yeah, so if it gets too windy, the drone warns you and says, like, hey, it's windy out here, like, you probably don't want to be flying out of sight. So it holds itself pretty steady in a wind up to about 15 miles an hour, but if there's gusts that get pretty high, it will warn you and everything else like that. So generally you're going to be fine because the gusts are going to be your warning more than anything else. But I definitely, like, have been flying and, like, 200 meters from myself and, 75 meters up, and that's... and it'd be like, oh, by the way, like, it's super windy out. And I'm like, like, keep an eye on your drone. And I'm like, no, don't fly away, drone. I love you. So yeah, I'm currently flying at 22 miles per hour into the wind. Or not miles per hour, kilometers per hour into the wind. And you can see there's this building that's under construction here. To the left of that is a BU building. The max range, so earlier I flew it to about 450 meters away and 80 meters up, and then the video started to get kind of blocky. So that's kind of, but I'm also like in downtown Cambridge on the other sides of trees, blah, 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 blah. So this is like not an ideal situation. Oh, there's that 8-man shell coming back. So this is the location of the head of the Charles. So the batteries, I have 3 batteries. I've bought the Fly More kit. The Fly More kit comes with 2 extra batteries and a case, as well as a couple extra sets of props and a charger, 4-way charger and other stuff like that. The batteries last about 25 minutes, and they cost about $80. They're like smart batteries and other stuff like that. So yeah, so that's the Prudential building, the Citgo building, the Hancock building out there. I actually did lunch or dinner for a YouTube thing at the top of the Prudential building at one point. So yeah, basically when I bought the drone, yeah, so now it says too much wind velocity, fly with caution, and like keep an eye on your drone basically. So that's kind of what I expected. The wind down here has been a little bit gusty, so I'm not super surprised. That was a little bit scary. Like, here's where it gets a little bit scary, right? I'm 400 meters away, 80 meters up, and my video gets kind of choppy, right? So you guys are probably seeing that my video is kind of choppy, and that is also what I see on my local screen, and that's scary, right? Because I don't know, like, I have been flying at one point closer to myself, and then had the video, like, cut out. And like at one point, like my drone was hovering like here and I could not get it to connect. And so I had to like wander around under these trees trying to listen for where my drone was so I could figure out where it was and land it. So, yeah, so that's the kind of thing that I have dealt with. That was on the TBS Discovery when I was just getting used to the video goggles and everything else like that. And so I would like be constantly prepared to rip the video goggles off my head. Oh yeah, no, like it is brilliant. So it has a small like 3D gimbal on the front. Like this is basically what DJI has been building for the past 4 years, building towards for the past 4 years. I really think that this is like the creme de la creme of what they've been working on. And it's really just like a really nice machine. It integrates all of the parts that they've been working on, the gimbal and the camera and everything else like that. Yeah, I currently have it set up in my don't behead me mode. If it gets too close to me, it will notice, and I'm flying forward at least, it will notice and stop. And so that's the default mode it comes in. Yeah, so you can see here, they're still probably not, no, they're going pretty quick. So these people are actually doing like a pretty speedy run down the river in this boat here. But yeah, so the tripod, I call it my flying tripod, absolutely. Yeah, I cannot, I know my drone is there and I can't hear it at all. So if you're looking up in the sky, which sometimes they do, you would see it as a relatively small, like, black speck. But I know exactly where to look for it, and it still takes me a second. There's no way to hear it or anything else like that. So this is one of those things where I can follow them. Yeah, so you can see they're not coming into the dock, which is kind of the evidence that they're continuing to do, like, you know, lengths up and down the river here. And then you got a 2-man boat over there. So yeah, like I said, there's always rowers out here, like, every day. You know, anytime the river's not frozen, you're going to have people out here practicing rowing. So. Oh yeah, so I was going to look how fast I go with the wind. So now I've got the wind coming at my back, and instead of going like 26 kilometers per hour, I'm going like 33. So we got like an 8 kilometer per hour difference. So it's probably like a 4 kilometer per hour wind, you know, once you've got the two different directions, ish. So. Yeah, and so this part here where they're doing this construction, they have torn all of this up, like, since I got my drone. Like, this was all, like, concrete, and there was an awning here and everything else like that when I got my drone a couple of, like a week and a half ago. So all of that is kind of new construction there. Here we've got a you know, rower out solo. All this blockiness that you're seeing right now is broadcasting from the drone to my iPad, or to the controller rather, being limited. I got 44% of my battery left. Probably command is probably about 2.5 megabits per second, maybe 3, and 3 megabits per second is about like a gig. It's 1 to 2 gigs per hour. So like that's fine with me. I have like 20 gig of over data because I basically use none because I'm on T-Mobile, and so all of my YouTube and Netflix and Hulu is like data free. It's 0 rated, so it doesn't count against my data plan. So that's why like I don't mind all of this data usage. I'll be able to check it after this because I haven't used my hotspot at all for the rest of the month. So I'll be able to look at what my overall data usage is. Yeah, I think I can get up to 20 gig. So I get 6 gig every month, and I can get up to 20. Hey, there's a bird in the middle of my viewport. Come back here, bird. I want you. Oh, you're flying over the road, though. I don't want that. Okay, I won't go there. So yeah, I'm now over the river, whether you can tell it or not. Yeah, man, get T-Mobile. T-Mobile is the people's network. The unnetwork, they call themselves, right? Yeah, so I'm right over the edge of the river here. So one of the things when you're looking at drone footage is it can often be hard to tell where something is. Oh yeah, so Icon's probably not here, but so the ISO definitely adjusts. Like there's an auto ISO setting that it's currently on, and so as I tilt down, it turns the ISO up, and so now it's at 400 and 800, and then as I go the other direction, it will ISO back down as I get back into the light here. So, oh yeah, so my office is kind of the cluster of buildings that's right in the middle of the viewport here. Is me. To the right here, this kind of squarish looking building, which is probably just a set of pixels to you, is the Simmons Hall, which is kind of like a Tetris block looking thing, dorm at MIT. Basically, you've got two halves of Cambridge. On this half of town over here is MIT. You've got this little area in the middle. So this tall building right in the center is about 12, 13 stories tall. I lived across that street from that with my first apartment in Cambridge. And then I've lived like from there to there. Like I've lived always within 3 blocks. But yeah, so that's the half of town owned by MIT. Over there is the half of the town owned by Harvard. And then there's this little bit of Cambridgeport in the middle, Trader Joe's and the Starbucks here and the Micro Center at the base of it. The Whole Foods is on the other side of this white building here. And then all along here is basically the biotech region, right? So Cambridgeport is big on biotech. Next, what's it called? And drug company, I don't remember the exact name, but they do a whole ton of their R&D and research here, yeah. Yeah, the video is just super blocky. I don't know what this is the first. I guess one of the issues is that I'm so high. So this is probably the first time that I've flown for this long at like the 80 meters plus range. Am I good here? Yeah, I'm good. Yeah. So it is currently 47 meters up and 26 meters away, and that's about the point where I can hear it. I probably cannot, Matus. I don't know how so 5,200 feet higher probably means that I can't see it no matter what, because I would have to be able to look up, which I cannot do. I don't know if you get to 80 feet in the, like 80 meters in the air, like 240 feet up, like what is the actual horizon distance there is something that I don't know. So yeah, I had assumed that my microphone on my iPad was where my speaker actually is. So my entire time I was trying to not block the microphone, I was actually not blocking the speaker, which obviously is not as useful because the speaker doesn't do anything useful. Hello, wake up. I don't know why that's so blocky. It's interesting. There we go. So yeah, there's me. Hi. Oh yeah, you're on the other side of the Rockies, that's right. But yeah, so this is another one of those. Oh yeah, so my drone is telling me right now that it's 7.5 meters away from an obstruction, namely the tree that's right in front of it. So you can't see that from the angle it's looking at, but if I go up, there's a tree there. And so if I tried to fly into that, it would stop me, but I'm not gonna practice that right now. Instead, I'm gonna come down. And so here is the point where it starts to hover, right? So now it is just doing this, oh hush. And so, like, from here, if I press down, it will go to here, it will stop for a second, and it'll just hover there. And now when I hold the stick down for another 2.5 seconds, it will go, boop, and done. Take your shirt off, streamer. So I don't fly it below about 10 feet most of the time, just because when you're really close to the ground, you get some kind of weird vortex ring states. Another thing, oh yeah, so this is interesting. The light sensor, the ambient light sensor has limitations. So right now it just popped up and says ambient light too weak. Now that's in part because it's like on the grass on the ground here, but it means if I wanted to take off, now that the sun has been set for like 10 minutes, 10-15 minutes, it would not be able to do obstacle avoidance, and you'd have to turn off obstacle avoidance before it would let you fly again. Take your shirt off. There you go. Yeah. But yeah, so that's my drone. You got to see kind of a cool tour of Boston. I've learned a little bit more about streaming with the iPad. My phone definitely has the ability to do a live stream broadcast from the drone, so that's kind of cool. And I will be able to take the footage, the 4K footage, and see if there's anything kind of interesting there. And yeah, so I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope that was a good time for everybody. It does seem like, yeah, the Arc Park. I don't know what the Arc Park is, but oh yeah, so you can actually see, so this video right here, I can't see it on my 144p, but you can actually see the very nice like bokeh you get on this camera. So you can see I'm out of focus and the leaves near it are out of focus, but you get that nice kind of depth of field, putting the grass in focus. The Arc Park, I don't know what the Arc Park is. Is that a thing? Anyway, but yeah, so thanks for watching. I'm gonna wrap this up and head home and play with video and work on live stream alerts and learn how to program my Ableton and make more songs and do all the other 17 things I like to do. And I hope you all have a lovely night. Thanks for hanging out, Jose and Kev and Leif and Barb and everybody who showed up. Goodbye! Bye-bye.